Hello dear students, this is Sandeep Sharma. I teach English and this is the first chapter of class 12th from the main reader Flamingo. Alright, the chapter name is the last lesson and we have already started this chapter. This is part 2 of this last lesson. We are here at page number 4 and passage is the second last. Okay, my last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn anymore. I must stop there then. That means I is here friends. He is talking about what M. Hamel announced. M. Hamel announced his teacher what he said that this is going to be your last lesson. And those words, they appeared as a thunderclap on him. Okay. And he was really amazed and he was in a terrible state to know that he should not learn it further because he hardly knew the language. He hardly knew how to write. And he stopped there. It was really, not a fine idea for him. Okay. Now, oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking bird's eggs and going sliding on the Sar. That means he was now feeling very sad that he did not learn his lessons, and instead what he did, he just went for seeking bird's eggs and he went sliding on the Sar. Okay, my books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of saints were old friends now that I couldn't give up. Okay, that means his books, that were appearing a very burden to him, very heavy to carry, his grammar and his history of saints. Those books, they appeared now the old friends. Okay, they appeared as old friends that he did not want to give up. Okay, he could not give up his old friends. And M. Hamel too, the idea that he was going away, that was, I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. That means he also looked at his teacher, and the teacher that, always appeared to him very unpleasant, very bad-tempered and very strict. Now that teacher is appearing to him, as he has started liking him. Okay, that he will never see him. He forgot all about his strictness. All right. Poor man. It was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. Okay, now he understood. That means he was wearing his, you can say, the special dress, all right, the black silk cap, his frilled shirt and green coat. He was all wearing that. Okay, now he understood that why he was wearing that his special dress. All right, it was clear to him now. Why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. Okay, it was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. That means now he understood at the back benches the old houser was there. Okay, and former mayor was there, former postmaster was there, many people, they were sitting there. Okay, and now he understood why they were sitting there, because they were also feeling sorry, and they were feeling sorry because they did not go to school, they did not learn their language. Okay, it was their way of thanking their master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. That means they came there and they just wanted to pay respect and they wanted to pay a kind of tribute to their master for his 40 years of service. Okay, he taught there for 40 years, M. Hamel. All right, and it was their way of paying respect. Okay, he served the country and which was theirs no more. All right. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. Now, he was thinking, he was in a very confused state. What is going on? Okay, and he was feeling very sorry. All right, and now in that situation, his name was called. M. Hamel called his name. Now it was his turn to recite his lesson. Okay, What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the participle all through, very loud and clear, without one mistake? That means, uh, how, could that be? He wanted, or if that was possible, that he could have said the dreadful rule. That means he wanted to say that dreadful rule on the participles, on grammar, loud and clear, without any mistake. Okay, but at that time he could not say that. Okay, and what he said, but I got mixed up on the first words and stood there, holding on to my desk and my heart beating and not daring to look up. That means he could not recite his lesson. He could not recite the words. He just got mixed up, all right, because he did not learn anything about participles, all right. And as an, you can say, embarrassment, all right, he was really embarrassed, and he just, kept looking down. His heart was beating. He was not daring to look up. Okay, and M. Hamel. At that time, I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little friends. You must feel bad enough. Okay, see how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, Bah, I have plenty of time. That means M. Hamel, at that time he did not scold him, because this was the last lesson he was teaching. There was no point scolding. Okay, he said that, see, you must feel bad yourself, all right. And this is how, we have said to ourselves that I have plenty of time. That means always, we are in the habit of procrastinating. That is, I will do tomorrow, I will do tomorrow, and that tomorrow never comes. Okay, he says, that we have said, I have plenty of time and I'll learn it tomorrow. And now you see where we have come out. That means now we have no tomorrow. Okay, and that is the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off for learning till tomorrow. That means the district Alsace they are in. Okay, he's talking about the district, and she always puts the learning to tomorrow. She never does it today. Okay, and now these fellows out there will have the right to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you cannot speak, you can neither speak nor write your own language. Okay, but you are not the worst, poor little friends. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. That means now, first of all, okay, he says that we have been, postponing our work to tomorrow, and right now we don't have any tomorrow. Okay, and these, people who have come, who have, taken control over these two, districts, Alsace and Lorraine, they have right to say, okay, they can say that, that you are no longer Frenchmen. All right, you can neither speak nor write your own language. What kind of Frenchman you are? Okay, and this is the worst condition. All right, and he says to poor little friends that you are not, the worst case. Okay, we all are, to be blamed. All right, we should blame ourselves. Okay, we all of, are at fault somehow. How we are at fault? Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. Okay, first of all, your parents are at fault. Okay, they did not send you to work. Sorry, they did not send you to learn. They were not worried for you to learn your own language. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. That means they preferred to put you on working so that they could earn money. All right, and I have been to blame also. Now here, M. Hamel is blaming himself also. How he blames? Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? That means he is at blame also. Many times or many days, he just sent his students to water his plants. And when he wanted to go for fishing, he just declared a holiday. So this was all, his you can say guilty part. Then from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French lesson, saying that it was the most beautiful. That means now he is continuously talking about his language from one thing to the other, and he says that his French language. Okay, he says that how his French language, or how the French language was the most beautiful language in the world. Okay, so this is we are here. All right, how French language is the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest, the most logical. We must guard it among us and never forget it. Okay, he wants and he appeals people of France to guard the language because it is most logical and it is most clear. Okay, they should not forget it, because when a people are enslaved, okay, when people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. That means till the time they have their own language, okay, they have the key to their freedom. All right, they have the key to their prison. All right, they can anytime get together and they can get the freedom. Okay, so here students, I want you to pay attention on here. When a people, it is students, people is always plural. Okay, and a is here singular. So is it right to be used, or it is wrong to be used? I want you to know that. So students, people, with people you cannot write a, this is fact, but here people is presented as one community or one part, one group. It is presented. All right, so it is a people is absolutely right. Okay, and then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. That means he opened the grammar book and he read out the lesson. And friends, he was really amazed. He was really surprised that on that day, at that time, he understood everything. Okay, how well he understood. All right, all he said seemed so easy, I think too, that I had never listened so carefully, and that he had never explained everything with so much patience. That means, on the both sides he talks that M. Hamel was teaching with absolute dedication. Okay, and he was, M. Hamel, sorry, Friends was paying 100% attention to the teachings of M. Hamel, and that day everything was appearing so easy to him, and he not only listened very carefully, he understood very easily the things. All right, and it seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away, and to put it all into our heads at one stroke. That means he was appearing very poor man, all right, because he wanted to give everything. That means he wanted to teach everything in one class. Okay, in one go he wanted to give everything to us. All right, that's what the friends asks. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day M. Hamel had new copies for us, written in a beautiful round hand, France, Alsace, France, Alsace. They had, they looked like little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom, hung from the road at the top of our desks. That means, that day he gave them new copies, new notes, and on those notes, it was appearing beautifully, you can say, in round hand written, France, Alsace, France, Alsace, it was written, and it was appearing like the flags are everywhere. Okay, on the road, they are hung. You ought to have been, you ought to have seen how everyone set to work and how quiet it was. That means everyone was working. They were at work and it was really, really quiet. The only sound was the scratching of pens over the paper. That means they were writing, and they wanted to write everything once. some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest ones, who worked right on tracing their fish hooks as if that was French too. Okay, that means, when they were writing, some beetles, some, you can say, insects, they flew in, but everybody was this much engaged and engrossed in writing, nobody paid attention to them, even the slightest attention, nobody paid. Okay, on the roof, the pigeons cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they be able to make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Okay, so on the roof, on that building, on that school building, actually, the pigeons, birds were there, and they were cooing, and he said to himself, he asked to himself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Okay, that means, they don't have this much capability, they cannot make themselves, or make their, you can say, pigeons speak in German. All right, this is not possible for them. This was somehow in, you can say, deep in his heart, that he wanted to attain his language, and he wanted to say that nobody can rip them apart from their language. Okay, let's move on. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little school room. At that time, M. Hamel was sitting motionless. He was not doing any kind of activity. Okay, he was in his chair and he was looking at everything. Okay, one thing and then the other, then the other. As in, what he wanted to do, he wanted to capture a picture, okay, of everything, how it looked in that schoolroom. All right, because he was not going to see the school again. Okay, that was the, condition of friends fancy. For 40 years, he had been there in the same place, with his garden outside in the window, and his class in front of him. That means he had spent 40 years there. Why he was looking there? He just wanted to, capture the last moments. He wanted to see, as in, let's say you pass out your 12th standard from a school, and you have, let's say, you have spent from nursery to 12th standard in the same school. And when going from the school, okay, you feel pain. All right, you see everything again. Okay, again and again you see, because that is going to be your last day. Okay, so he wanted to see everything. All right, just like that, he wanted to capture the moments. Only the desks and benches had been worn smooth. The walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hope vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. That means the desks. Okay, the desks and benches, they had worn out. That means they were very old now. Okay, by the time they were very worn. The walnut trees in the garden were taller. Walnut trees, I know, it's a light brown nut. Okay, like, walnut tree, it grows on. All right, so the walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hope vine, it's a kind of, you can say, creeper, or you can say vine. All right, that he planted himself. It twined about the windows or to the roof. That means from the window to the roof, it just, you can say, twined on that. It got circled around that. Okay, and how it must have broken his heart to leave it all. That means he must have felt very, you can say, very deep pain to leave all that. That means he spent there 40 years, and now he is leaving that. Obviously, he would feel pain. Poor man. To hear his sister moving about in the room above, packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. That means when he was thinking all this, he heard his sister. She was packing the trunks above, okay, in the room above, and he could hear the sounds. All right, for they must leave the country next day. They are going to leave the country next day. This idea seems very horrible to him. Okay. So M. Hamel heard his sister packing the trunks. This only meant their departure. But M. Hamel had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. That means he did not try to finish the class in haste. He wanted to listen and he heard the class up to the very last. Okay. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the babies chanted ba, bi, be, bo, boo. That means this must be their chanting. Okay, the main, as in vowel sounds. So the babies chanted after the lesson of history, and down there at the back of the room, old Hauser was there, and he had put on his spectacles, holding his primer in both his hands, and he also spelled the letters with them. Okay, and you could see that he too was crying. Okay, that means on the very last day he was also very emotional and he was crying. His voice trembled with emotion. He was not, can say happy, as he was feeling very emotionally, unpleasant, and his voice trembled. And it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. It was such a situation that he wanted to laugh and cry, hearing the old man, doing reading and crying, seeing all that, they wanted to laugh and cry. How well I remember it, the last lesson. That means the last lesson went absolutely wonderful. For friends, he understood everything on that day. Okay. And all at once, the church clock struck 12. That means it meant their departure after 12 o'clock. Okay. Then the Angelus. That means after that, their prayer happens. At the same moment, the trumpets of Prussians returning from drill sounded under their windows. That means the Prussians who were drilling there, who were training or march fasting, okay, they came again. Okay, their trumpets, sounded, all right, and under their windows it could be heard. M. Hamel stood up, very pale in his chair. I never saw him look so tall. That means he stood up there and he was looking high. He was standing, you could say, tall, absolutely tall. He was appearing very tall, and he was appearing very pale also. Okay, this was the moment when he had to leave. Okay, the time had come, and he tried to say something. He said, "My friends," said he, but he could not say. Something choked his throat. All right, something stopped him. He could not go on, and then he turned to the blackboard. He took a piece of chalk and bearing on all his, might, with all his strength, he wrote as large as he could. And what he wrote, students, "Vive la France." This means France should live forever. This is something he wrote on the board. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall. And without a word, he made a gesture to us with his hand. "School is dismissed and you may go." That means here, he just makes a gesture. He just waves with his hand and he makes a gesture that the class is over. Okay, and you may go now. So this is the end of the lesson, students. Thank you very much.